Hello, 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 hello. How are all of you today? Yeah. It's good to see you again. Always. So, I actually haven't been feeling too great over the past week. I have generalized inflammation. I had allergies the whole time I was growing up, and so now I just tend to deal with a lot of generalized inflammation, and just makes me puffy and not feel good. But I got the forecasts out for 2021 and for December of 2020. So if you haven't watched those yet, I'm sure most of you have. And then I am working on a path working video. It has to do with the path of the solar bark through the underworld. So I'm hoping to release that sometime kind of soon. And to start out, we are getting toward the end of the year. So I'm going to do some vibration with the tuning forks. And I'm also going to be plucking your energy and feeding it to the candle. I'm going to burn some incense as well. I think a lot of you already know that real cupette comes in little balls, but I don't feel like messing with that. Just want the payoff. And, these archaic forms of incense have their place in the modern world for sure. But I'm a little accident prone, and I'm better off not having a candle burning is bad enough. I definitely don't want to be tempting fate. all the combustibles. Adjusted over there. All right. These are tuned to vibrations per second. They are not tuned to hertz. So we have 9619 and 87.6 vibrations per second. little loose strands that have gotten knocked loose by the vibrations. Just gets knocked loose. I can just put it right into the flame. And again, if there's anything at this time that you'd like to release, just let it go. Just let it float right into the flame. So this week, which will be the week of November 25th through December 2nd, I'm going to be using this rainbow moonstone, and I also have this UV laser pointer, and I probably won't use that the whole time, but I find that it brings a lot of illumination to the interior facets of these stones that I work with, and enhances the trance state. And of course, I did a video about scrying not too long ago, so I'll put a link to that here and also in the description. And then we can also get started talking about the ephemera for this week. So the moon is going to start out in Aries on Wednesday the 25th, and then by Wednesday the 2nd it's going to be in Cancer, and we do have a full moon and a lunar eclipse in Gemini, and that's going to be the night of Sunday the 29th into Monday the 30th. And this lunar eclipse, it's going to be a penumbral eclipse, so not quite a total eclipse, but very close. And you'll be able to see it in the northern part of the Western Hemisphere and over the Pacific Ocean, but it looks like it won't really reach into Europe or Africa, or even very much of South America even. Then of course Chiron and Aries and Mars are still in Aries. Aries in Aries. Called him by his Roman name. But we can also go into, at a different time, the difference between the Greek gods and the Roman gods. And so we have still this pattern of Chiron and Mars. Chiron coming first and then Mars in Aries, passing through different moon signs. And so on Tuesday the 24th is when Chiron in Aries is going to be conjunct the moon in Aries. But then 25th Wednesday is going to be when we see Mars in Aries conjunct the moon in Aries. And we still have the progression of the planets in Capricorn in play. And on Thursday, the 26th, they're all going to be passing through the square placement with Mars in, or with the moon in Aries, sorry. But remember that Pluto now is going to be passing through before Jupiter. And then Saturn finishing that off. And the sun is in Sagittarius now, so keep that in mind. Mercury is in Scorpio, and Venus is also in Scorpio. Neptune's going direct on Saturday the 28th. And Neptune is in Pisces at this time. And of course, I'll be going into all of these placements in a lot more detail and a lot more thoroughly as I go through each sign. So if you have interest in any particular placement, do watch the beginning part of that sign's reading. The only other thing that I want to mention is that on Tuesday, the 1st, Mercury is going to be entering Sagittarius. Hello, Aries, and welcome to your reading. So, let's talk about your ephemera in more detail. On Wednesday, the 25th, Venus in Scorpio is going to be making a quincunx to Chiron in Aries, and that's going to be around 8:45 or 11:45 in the morning, depending on if you're on one of the American coasts. And Chiron in Aries, again, is this healing energy and pushing through things that you might be impatient about. Venus in Scorpio. So Venus being in this placement of death and sex, there might be a crossover between, obviously sex can be very passionate, but it can also be very romantic too. And so with this quincunx, the quincunx is an energy of action. This might be a situation where a love affair takes a different turn, and there's an opportunity for the two of you to work through impatience, lack of commitment, things like that. Where then later in the afternoon, either around 3:40 or 6:40, there's going to be a conjunction between the moon in Aries and Mars in Aries. And this is a very interesting placement because the moon is all about emotional or hidden things, and then Mars in Aries, being in its native sign, is very much about passion, action, can be very aggressive energy. So as related to these emotional matters, it could be related to this Venus in Scorpio, quincunx, Chiron in Aries energy getting tied up. on Thursday the 26th. So in a lot of the United States, people might be celebrating Thanksgiving. But for obvious reasons, that may or may not be what you choose to do this year. Again, the moon being in Aries at this time, there's going to be a quincunx with Mercury in Scorpio, and that's going to happen really early in the morning of Thursday the 26th, either at 2:45 or 5:45 in the morning, so you might not even be awake for this energy. Mercury in Scorpio is all about communication regarding endings and beginnings. So cycle switchovers. That's why it's death, sex, and other people's resources. And as this relates to the moon in Aries can be a hidden start to something, possibly, which would make sense, it being at this hour. It can also be an emotional beginning, or an emotional youth, all of these things. And because it's a quincunx, there could be some kind of action that's taken, but because of the hour of the morning and the nature of the moon energy, it might not be something you notice right away. Around 5:50 or 8:50 in the morning, we're going to start this cycle of squares between the moon in Aries and then the planets that are in Capricorn. So that's going to be Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn. Now, I've talked about this a lot, but I do think it's important to repeat myself just in case people are watching for the first time. So now we've got Pluto, which is all about this nebulous, kind of half-existent, half-non-existent energy. So a nebulization, and Capricorn can relate to career. It's kind of how you're able to use your circumstances, right? So we've got this kind of nebulization energy. Then we come into this Jupiter in Capricorn energy, which is about expansion and wealth. And then close it off with the Saturn in Capricorn energy, which is all about concretion. And this is going to take place from around 5 or 8:50 in the morning to 3:45 or 6:45 in the evening. And by the time Saturn squares the moon's going to be void of course. And of course, the moon in Aries can be about, as I was mentioning, hidden beginnings or emotional beginnings. Now, Sun in Sagittarius is going to trine Chiron in Aries earlier in the afternoon, so around 1:50 or 4:50 in the afternoon. And Sun in Sagittarius is all of the things you do to elevate yourself, elevate your state of being. And with that Chiron in Aries, that's healing the parts of yourself that are immature, that have no follow through, maybe lack of commitment energy. So this Sun in Sagittarius, which is about things like higher learning and your spirituality outside of religion, are going to be helping you work through those Chiron in Aries parts of yourself. And then around 7:45 or 10:45, Moon's going to enter Taurus, so it'll be out of your sign at that time. And then the next placement that we're going to see for you, Aries. On Sunday the 29th, this is going to be around 6:20 or 9:20 in the evening. We're going to see the moon in Gemini sextile Chiron in Aries. Moon in Gemini is emotional communication, hidden communication. Can also have to do with duality regarding those things. Emotional duality. So this Chiron in Aries energy then being aided by those different aspects of the self, the two halves of the self. And then the moon in Gemini is going to be sextile Mars in Aries. So, Chiron in Aries starts this healing process, and then Mars in Aries is going to come through, and that's going to be the action side of this. This is going to be a much more aggressive energy, and that's going to occur around 6:13 or 9:13 in the evening. Again, depending on if you are on either one of the coasts. And remember, between the 29th and the 30th is when we're going to see that penumbral lunar eclipse in Gemini. And then on Wednesday, the 2nd, Chiron in Aries around 5:20 or 8:20 in the morning is going to be squaring the moon in Cancer. Moon in Cancer is the moon in its native sign, and it's all about emotional energy and related to the home life. And because there's a square there could be some kind of impatience that you're needing to work on in yourself. Again, for me, a lot of what's coming up regarding this Chiron in Aries is the idea that there's some kind of lack of commitment there. And that's not totally by the book. That's just an impression that I'm getting for somebody out there. All right, so now let's talk to the rock. Ooh, yeah. There's some kind of fishy situation going on for you this week, Aries. I'm sorry about my bed creaking. I hope that doesn't bother you too much. Yeah, there's a glaring kind of... It's not like a betrayal, but it's like something is not right, and you bring attention to it because it's very obvious, and everyone is kind of gaslighting you about it. And this could be in regards to a work situation. Yeah. I used to work in a laboratory, and there are a lot of regulations regarding laboratories, whether you are in a research or commercial lab. There are certain things that have to be done. And if you don't do them, you could get in a lot of trouble, and for good reason. And I feel like in your situation, Aries, this is very much like that. This is a situation where, everybody at your job could get into a lot of trouble if they don't figure this out in time. Why are they doing this? They don't want to seem, like they're not doing the right thing. Therefore, they're trying to cover up that they're not doing the right thing rather than fixing it. Been there. What else is going on with this situation? Your supervisors are being really sus about this whole thing. Yeah, so almost like conspiratorial with each other and against the workers. So, like, if you were to bring it to their attention, they might put you on administrative leave or something like that. Not, like they couldn't get away with firing you because they would have to give a reason, and then all of this would come out, obviously. But they might put you on administrative leave. Does this have to do with quarantine situations? A little bit. I think for a lot of you this is going to be about a workplace not being safe in quarantine. What else do I need to tell Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this situation? You can take it over their heads if you want to. Honestly, I don't think that it's worth your time. Because this is such a blaring error. It's going to come out sooner rather than later. And even though it's a very blatant situation, I see that if you come out, because everything is about perception, right? So many things are about perception. If you were to come out about this, rather than being seen as, doing the right thing, you're going to be seen as disloyal to the company, which is stupid. Sorry. This is going to be for somebody very specific, probably. I hope anyway, but I'm sure that there are a lot of places that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But what I'm seeing is your best outcome is that I do feel like, and I feel like this is part of their catch-22 as well, is they're being really lenient with people about leave right now because of the quarantine. And so because of that, they feel like it's okay for them to not be doing what they're supposed to be doing, because you could always just go home. You're not going to get fired. So yeah, I see that as being the best option for some of you Aries out there. What else do I need to tell Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this next week, the 25th through the 2nd? Oh, yeah, you know what? Probably that situation could have to do with some of your Thanksgivings as well. It could be, I know a lot of people are feeling pressure from loved ones to get together for Thanksgiving. So it could be a situation where you feel like maybe you should say something, but I would just not show up to that and make an excuse or whatever, but not really make a big deal about it not being a good idea, because they know they're just going to gaslight you. What else do I need to tell Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this next week? You've been preparing for something. This could be like a dissertation. It seems like it's some kind of special presentation, so there could be a live stream that you're doing of some kind. It could be just a special presentation of some kind. It could be artwork, some kind of art installation that's going to be documented for online viewing and also be up in a gallery space. Somewhere. But that it's something that was set into place like a long time ago. And there's probably been a bit of back and forth about it since the first plans were made. And now it's finally being put out there, and you're going to get to see the response of the public to this thing that you're putting out there. And it could be art, it could be a scientific paper of some kind. It could be like your thesis. It could be any number of things. Could even be like a fashion line or a makeup line or skincare. You know, you get the idea. You get what I'm talking about. Is there anything else I need to tell Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising about this week? No, that's it for you. Hello, Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So let's talk about your week ahead in the ephemera for November 25th through December 2nd. Time is marching onward, as usual. So the big thing is there's, a lunar eclipse on Sunday the 29th through Monday the 30th, roughly speaking. It's mostly going to be the very wee hours of Monday the 30th. If you're on the West Coast, it'll be around like 1:30 or 1:45 a.m. So that's a full moon in Gemini. Neptune is going direct while the moon is in your sign. And then Mercury is going to enter Sagittarius. And what we're looking at specifically for Taurus is that on the evening of Thanksgiving Day, which is Thursday the 26th, the moon is going to be entering your sign. And then the next day, Friday the 27th, the moon in Taurus is going to be quincunx the sun in Sagittarius. It's going to be kind of in the mid-morning, so like 7:30 to 10:30, whether you're on the East Coast or the West Coast. So moon in Taurus can be about hidden possessions, can be your emotional attachment to your possessions. And sun in Sagittarius is all these things that you do to elevate yourself. And because it's a quincunx, that could be about an action that you're taking. So this could be some kind of cleaning ritual where you're getting rid of a lot of stuff It could also be donating to charity, or it could be some kind of organization as well. And then we have a couple of placements with Uranus in Taurus. So around 9 in the morning or noon, there's going to be an opposition between Venus in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus is kind of like when a group of people is making judgment on the fate of property. I always think about like a tontine, if any of you know what that is. If any of you have a tontine in your family, please talk about it in the comments. I'd love to hear about your experiences. Anyway, enough about the tea. Venus and Scorpio. So Scorpio can be endings and beginnings. It can also be about other people's property. And Venus being a romantic kind of energy. Venus and Scorpio can be more to the sexual romantic side. But in this particular case, because we're talking about Uranus in Taurus, it could be more about other people's property and relating to partnerships, that you have a romantic partnership with somebody and there's shared property. This could also be about things that are going on in a polycule. So if you are poly and you have a group of partners that you see on a regular basis, there could be some kind of joint property where you are all kind of maneuvering that space together and negotiating that space. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. A little bit after that, a couple hours later, we're looking at the moon in Taurus, then conjunction with Uranus in Taurus. So then kind of tying up all of those loose ends with your emotional ties to your property. And then like a half hour after that, then you have the opposition between the moon in Taurus and Venus in Scorpio. So all of that kind of just being like this emotional energy, partnerships are involved, and having to do with other people's property, having to do with joint property, and possibly having to do with romantic endings and beginnings, because that's Scorpio as well. All right, so then again on Saturday the 28th, we've got moon in Taurus, sextile Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune in Pisces is going direct later that day. So we're almost back into that direct energy. And Neptune in Pisces, just in general, is a very vague, watery, potential energy. Very good for like astral travel, psychic vision, stuff like that. But also just very like non-specific. So that can be good, can be bad. Moon in Taurus, sextile Neptune in Pisces. So, moon in Taurus, emotional ties to property, hidden property, possibly. Neptune in Pisces. This could definitely be more to the hidden property side. And Neptune in Pisces being a very watery energy. It could also be property that you have a strong emotional tie to it. And then later in the evening, so starting around 6:40 or 9:40 p.m., we've got all those planets that are in Capricorn, and they are making different transits with the moon in sequence. And so with the moon in Taurus, that's going to be a trine. We have the trine with Pluto in Capricorn. So that's this very like nebulous energy. Also, Pluto being an energy of death, cycle ending, but also about things that are in a very transitional state. So whether it's real or not. And Capricorn having to do with career, but also with how you are able to utilize your environment. And so we've got that trine with the moon in Taurus. Then we have Jupiter in Capricorn trining Taurus. And then finally, in the early-ish morning of Sunday the 29th, you're going to have Saturn in Capricorn trining the moon in Taurus. And that's a very favorable energy. So Pluto, this nebulization, Jupiter is wealth and expansion, and then Saturn is going to be concretion and establishment. So that you have the good opportunity to take these energies as they relate to your emotional attachment to your property and move through them to a concrete resolution. Also on Sunday the 29th, you're going to have a quincunx between the Sun in Sagittarius and Uranus in Taurus, right? So quincunx is action. This is going to occur either right after midnight or around 3:20 in the morning, depending again on if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast. Sun in Sagittarius is to do with all of the things that we do to elevate ourselves. And Uranus in Taurus then being, again, like a group of people having control over a piece of property or having say and putting their ideas into how that property should, the fate of that property. And so this could be, about a religious organization. It could be something about joint property at a school, at a university level. Something like that. But of course, that's really early in the morning, so it's possible that you won't even notice that, really. You're also going to get a opposition between the moon in Taurus and Mercury in Scorpio. And that's going to be around the same time as that quincunx with the Sun in Sagittarius. So Mercury in Scorpio then is communication about endings and beginnings, about cycle switchovers, and then of course about other people's resources, death, sex, and other people's resources. So you could get a midnight phone call about something regarding those things. It's possible. Let's see if there's anything else, because right after that, the moon is going to enter Gemini. So finally then here on Wednesday the 2nd, we've got the moon in Cancer, and there's a sextile with Uranus in Taurus. Moon in Cancer is moon in its native. and can be about emotions, strong emotions, and also about the home life. So, of course, with Uranus in Taurus, that would definitely be a group of people, unless you live absolutely by yourself in the middle of nowhere, don't have any neighbors or any apartment neighbors or anything like that. Going to be about joint property of some kind. That's going to be either at 10 a.m. or 1 p.m., depending on your coast as well. All right, Taurus. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. What do I need to tell you for the week ahead for November 25th through December 2nd? You're giving someone a chance to do something. I feel like it's... Sorry. I feel like it's like you're giving someone the opportunity to take the mantle from you and take on a responsibility that previously you had shouldered alone. That's going to be for some of you. For some of you, you will have taught somebody how to do something, and so this week they could be taking on that responsibility for the first time, or in a much more like independent role. So not necessarily that they haven't ever done this before, but it might be the first time that they do something related to this new training that you have bestowed upon them. They're not getting the hang of it. It's going to be something where they try this and you end up having to step in and kind of clean things up, which isn't bad. I mean, it's, it's the kind of thing where everybody has to, if you're learning how to ice skate, you're going to fall down, and it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, everybody falls down. And so this could be a situation where it's inevitable that people will screw this up. Even you screw it up sometimes. And you're going to have to just come in and help to clean up the pieces. Which is fine. That's just how it works, That's just part of it. But they're going to feel, obviously, because they are not as experienced in it as you, they're going to feel the burden of having let you down. So you don't necessarily need to bolster this person up, aggressively. You don't need to try to make this person feel better. But it is important to communicate to them that you don't hold it against them, that you don't, you hold them responsible for their mistake, for sure, but it's not something that wouldn't have happened to anyone else, including yourself. Yeah, I'm getting this very forlorn feeling from this person for this having occurred. It kind of marks a shift for them. And aren't necessarily going to understand the meaning of that until later. And that's, again, going to be different for everybody. And I feel like Thanksgiving's just going to come up for a lot of you guys. So I'm also seeing that it's possible that for some of you, somebody that is part of your social group or a family member is doing a remote Thanksgiving where they have cooked a big Thanksgiving meal and they're like wrapping up individual plates for takeaway. So that's kind of cool. And then each individual person can just stop by and pick one up. Kind of like off the doorstep, maybe say hi through the door. So it'll be like totally safe. And what else do I need to tell Taurus, sun, moon, and rising about this week? Honestly, Taurus, I think that's it for you for right now. Have a great week. Hello, Gemini. So, first of all, this is going to be for the week of November 25th through December 2nd. And we're going to start off by talking about the lunar eclipse that's going to be in your sign. And that's going to be happening between Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th. If you are on the West Coast, it will be most visible around 1:30 in the morning. And it will be primarily visible in the northern western hemisphere. So Gemini, the moon is going to be in your sign starting on Sunday the 29th around 8 or 11 a.m. Again, depending on your coast. And that's going to last until Tuesday the 1st, and the moon will enter Cancer on around 7:30 or 10:30 in the morning. So on Sunday the 29th, we're also going to see around 6:20 or 9:20 p.m. a sextile with Chiron in Aries. Chiron in Aries is healing all of these impatient parts of ourselves, the parts of ourselves that begin things and don't finish them. Anything like that. And this moon in Gemini can be about emotional communication, but it can also be about emotional duality or hidden communication or even hidden dualities. And then the sextile with Mars in Aries, which kind of wraps up that energy. Mars is going to be the more action-oriented, aggressive side of that energy. That's going to be around 6:13 or 9:13 in the evening on Monday the 30th. Now, we also have Moon in Gemini in opposition to the Sun in Sagittarius. That's going to happen pretty early in the morning, so either 1:30 or 4:30 in the morning. So you might not even be awake for this, but Sun in Sagittarius is all of the things that we do to elevate ourselves. So it could be in regards to higher education, your spirituality outside of the confines of religion, or even travel. And if it's while you're asleep, it could be astral travel even. But Moon in Gemini being about emotional communication or dualities, or even like, because the moon also can have a lot to do with astral travel and psychic awareness and abilities. So it could be a time for that kind of communication to come in, actually. We also have Moon in Gemini, quincunx Venus in Scorpio, and that's going to be a little later in the morning, around 6:40 or 9:40. And quincunx is an energy of action, placement of action. So Moon in Gemini, again, can be about emotional things, can be just about like psychic awareness things related to communication, duality, mental states, things like that. And then Venus in Scorpio is very much more like a romantic energy surrounding sex, but can also have to do with slightly different energies, because while Scorpio is about sex, it can also be about the place where a cycle starts over. So the end of one cycle and the beginning of the next cycle. So it could be about a romantic cycle in that way as well. And then finally on Monday the 30th, we have a square between the Moon in Gemini and Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune in Pisces has gone direct on Saturday the 28th. So is direct at this time. And this is when the moon is going to be void of course. So a very kind of watery, kind of emotionally, like a lot of emotional landmines around possibly. That's going to be around 8:20 or 11:20 at night. But kind of a vague sort of energy. So if there's any kind of emotional communication that you're wanting to get through, make sure that you do it earlier in the day, because when this energy moves through, it might make things unclear. We also have now on Tuesday the 1st, a series of the planets. There's the 3 planets that are in Capricorn right now, moving through transits with the moon in Gemini, and that's going to be Pluto in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn, and then Saturn in Capricorn. Now, Pluto in Capricorn is this very, like, it's not nebulous the same way that Neptune is. It is nebulous in the way that it's also simultaneously the ending of one cycle and the beginning of a new one. All about endings, all about death. Also related to things that are and are not at the same time. Schrodinger's planet. You would have to open the box in order to see if the cat is deceased. So, because this starts off that series, what you have is that there's this nebulization around career and around the potential for you to use your surroundings. And then we come into the Jupiter placement, which is all about wealth and expansion. And finally, the Saturn placement, which is concretion and establishment. And again, Moon in Gemini being can be emotional, can be about psychic awareness, can be about communication, can be about partnerships, duality, all of those things. Partnerships not just related to romance, but also like business partnerships to some extent, although not as much as Libra is related to partnerships. This is more about the way that in partnerships 2 people can complement each other. Whereas in Libra, you're looking at the parity in partnerships. Gemini being two people like this, Libra being two people in an equal sign. And then finally, you have the moon entering Cancer. So that's everything to do with your ephemera for the week ahead. Gemini, what do you need to know for this week ahead, November 25th through December 2nd? So one thing that I am seeing right off the bat is that most of you Geminis out there, excuse me, Thanksgiving isn't going to be quite as big a deal for you, so I won't really get into that here. Some signs I feel like it's going to come up a lot, and then your sign, I feel like what's coming up more is the boredom. So the boredom of not being free to move around as you wish. This kind of apathy. Just these feelings of like, I just wish I could go to a movie one time, you know? But you're doing the right thing. I feel like even though a lot of you might be feeling bored, that you're not acting on that in a rash or unsafe way. So we all appreciate that. What else do I need to tell Gemini for this week, the 25th through the 2nd? You've got a lot more educational tools at your disposal than you're currently utilizing. I don't remember if this has come up in a Gemini video before, but I kind of feel like it has. That there's a lot of online coursework that is available at this time that you could definitely be taking advantage of. I know that came up for one sign previously, and I don't remember if it was Gemini or not. And a lot of it for free, a lot of it just through YouTube and other platforms that are similar to that. But then there are also, there's things like, none of them are paying me, so I'm not going to say them by name, but, different apps and different websites where you can actually pay for coursework. And then there are also, like, different, more like storefront shops that also offer courses. So for example, I live in Los Angeles, and there's a bookstore here, a metaphysical shop called The Crooked Path, and they have really been putting a lot of excellent courses out during this time that are available through the store, and then you go on Zoom at the time of the class. And I'm sure that there's a lot of other places that are doing stuff like that. Learn Python, learn different programming languages, all kinds of stuff like that. And I feel like you could even parlay this if you wanted to. It could be like a stepping stone for you to move into a different line of work. If you're trying to find something that is more oriented to work from home situations or working remotely. And a lot of cities are decentralizing right now. There's a YouTube channel run by this real estate agent in New York City, and their name is Cash Jordan. And I watched some of their videos, and he's been talking recently about how people have, like, I think something like 300,000 people have already left New York City. So it is getting to a point where you don't have to live in a major city in order to do things, or rather that you're just as likely to be able to do something if you're working from home in any place. So it's a bit of a decentralization, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Definitely. But it might be the opportunity, actually, that you, Gemini, have been looking for regarding a particular situation in your life where until this point you thought that you would have to move to a bigger city in order to do something specific. Or you always felt like, not like you had to move to a bigger city, but that the city where you were living didn't really have a good venue for that. This might be the time when new possibilities open to you regarding these things, and it's because of how things are being structured right now. What else do I need to tell Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising about this particular period of time, November 25th to December 2nd? You've got a world ahead of you. Yeah, for some of you this might be actually a transition between two parts of your life, and not that everything from this previous part of your life is going to be gone, but rather that so many new things open up to you that it's almost like a whole new world, it's so horribly cliche, has opened up to you. And you've got a lot of new possibilities. Yeah, I'm seeing like a lot of new possibilities for you, Gemini. And it's all based around changes that'll be going on this week. So yeah, I don't think that Thanksgiving is going to be as important for some of you as the new things that are going to be happening. Is there anything else that I need to tell Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising during this time? Drink lots of water. Get rest whenever you can. And, take care of yourself and enjoy the ride. Hello, Cancer. Hello, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's talk about your week ahead, November 25th through December 2nd. So, the moon is going to enter your sign, which is its native sign, and that's going to happen on Tuesday, December 1st, around 7:30 p.m. and either 7:30 or 10:30 p.m., depending on if you live on one of the coasts of the United States. And keep in mind too that the previous night, so the night between Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th, there will have been a lunar eclipse in Gemini, and that is going to be at its fullest point. It's a penumbral eclipse in the full moon, and that's going to be at its fullest point on the west coast around 1:30 in the morning of Monday the 30th. So then after that, the moon's going to enter your sign. And there's going to be a quincunx between the moon in Cancer and Mercury in Sagittarius. So Mercury in Sagittarius energy. What's that like? Well, Sagittarius is all of these things that we do to improve ourselves. Can be higher education, can be spirituality outside of organized religion. And then Mercury, of course, being also about education, ideas, thought, communication. So this is a very scholarly energy that we're looking at here, while Moon in Cancer is a very emotional energy, but also very intuitive. So with that quincunx there could be an action that you take at that time. It's going to be around 8:40 or 11:40 at night on Tuesday the 1st. Next, we're looking at a square between the moon in Cancer and Chiron in Aries. And that is going to be around 5:18 or 8:18 in the morning. Now, this Chiron in Aries energy is, Chiron's the healer, so it is resolving any things about yourself that might be impatient, that might not have follow through. And another thing that's been coming up for me this week, that's not strictly by the book, is commitment, fear of commitment, possibly. So that being early in the morning of Wednesday the 2nd, moon in Cancer, obviously emotional energy surrounding the home is going to be a good time to address that. Later in the morning, around 10 a.m. or 1 p.m., if you are on the East Coast, it will be 1 p.m., there's going to be a sextile, and that's going to be with Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus in Taurus is an energy of a group of people determining the fate of some kind of property. And Taurus is also an earth sign energy, so there's that as well. It's a very grounded energy. Can be actually a piece of property, like land. And moon in Cancer, this could be related to your family. Then we have a quincunx between the sun in Sagittarius now and the moon in Cancer. And that could be very similar to that Mercury in Sagittarius quincunx that we saw. It could be a continuation of that situation. It's going to occur around 5:30 or 8:30 in the evening on Wednesday the 2nd. And then the final energy is going to be more like an overnight energy into Thursday the 3rd. So we'll just touch on that briefly, but it's either going to be 11:40 at night or 2:43 in the morning. And that is moon in Cancer, trine Venus in Scorpio. So Venus in Scorpio energy can be a very romantically sexual energy. But it can also have to do with beginnings and endings. So it could be beginning or ending of a relationship, or a cycle ending in a relationship as well. And because we're talking about moon in Cancer, that could have to do with intuition, could have to do with psychic abilities, but it probably involves something having to do with your home life. All right. Cancer. Cancer, 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 Cancer. Let's talk about your week ahead. I see a lot of balloons. Bilious, wind blowing, the sky is kind of overcast, and there's these balloons that are kind of blowing around in this windy, overcast, slightly drizzly. It's kind of cold, so you know how balloons kind of deflate a little bit when it's cold because the air actually shrinks closer together. The molecules shrink closer together inside the balloon. And there's like a big field. Could be near a fairground, but there's not really a lot going on at this fairground. I don't see any rides set up or any displays or anything like that. Could just be a field. I do see some trees around, but I mostly just see like hedges and then this field, and it's like cold and drizzly. And I see these balloons. I can't really tell what colors they are. They're kind of just all kinds of colors. It doesn't really matter what the color is, but that the color is contrasting against the grayness of the sky. And they just look kind of sad, you know, floating there. Could be tied to a mailbox, could be tied to a fence post. Some situations I see them tied to like a street sign, so the pole that a street sign is on. This is kind of out in the middle of a rural area, so it's not like inside the city. Could be in the UK somewhere, but could also be in America. I mean, I've seen plenty of parts of America that look like that too. What does this mean for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising? You're gonna have kind of a difficult week insofar as your own endurance is concerned. You're gonna feel a bit blown about like those balloons, a bit at the mercy of the elements, about a bit in the middle of nowhere. Maybe you're gonna find recourse somehow, but you'll be a little worse for wear on the other side of this situation. Is there anything that Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising can do to abate or to make this situation better? I mean, no and yes. Like, just make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you're not surrounding yourself with people who are going to make this even harder for you than it already is. There's not really food insecurity or housing insecurity that I see in a general sense. If these are things that you've already been dealing with, obviously, that's going to be a continuation. But this is more like internal turmoil. So not like, I mean, obviously, like, people on the outside can make your internal turmoil worse. But this is going to be more of a situation where emotionally you just feel like you're blowing in the breeze. Out in this drizzling rain in the cold. So not specifically speaking to shelter, but rather to the emotional states that surround uncertainty during this time. I don't think it has that much to do with Thanksgiving, although I'm sure some of you will be experiencing alienation from your family at this time that might not have occurred otherwise because of Thanksgiving. But then other things I see, it's mostly like wanting to put something together. And it's not about not having the resources to do that. It's about the fortitude within yourself to kind of make this situation come together. And I can certainly relate to that. I've been having like some very low energy days over the past few weeks, but I don't think it's necessarily about that either. Well, what's the deal? What is the deal with Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising this week? There may be some kind of loss for some of you. But it could also be that there's a gain that's a loss. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what it could mean, but it's going to be different for everybody, right? There could be just your perspective on things not being adequate to the overall situation. Could be that kind of a deal too. That you're feeling inadequate, and therefore you end up projecting that onto situations that it maybe doesn't pertain to. What else do I need to tell Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead? You'll feel better if you eat properly, and if you like bundle up. I don't know if some of you live places that are kind of cold right now, but I see, like, you know, pull like a blanket around yourself. It'll make you feel better, and it'll make it easier for you to have a clear headspace. So like, make sure that if you are slipping into some of these mentalities, that you stop yourself and be like, am I eating? Do I need to take my meds? Do I need to drink water? And just kind of go down your self-care checklist. And I think that if you do that, that you should be okay. Yeah, it's more like just, more like self-care. And I don't know why it's more important this week than any other week, but it might just be about paying attention to the signals that your body gives you, so that you don't end up floating around in the wind like a half-inflated helium balloon. And I think that has a lot more to do with it than that this week is going to be hard on you de facto. I think it's more like this week could be hard on you, but only if you let it. All right, that's it for you, Cancer. All right, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's talk about your week ahead for November 25th through December 2nd. So, you don't have any specific ephemera for the week ahead, but there will be a penumbral eclipse around the full moon in Gemini. And that's going to occur overnight between Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th. And it will be visible in the United States and Canada, and also over the Pacific Ocean, and not really any other places. I didn't see it dipping down even into Latin America or South America, but that could be the case. And it will be at its most intense point over the west coast around 1:30 in the morning. So if you like lunar eclipses, be a good time to see one. But, it won't be a total eclipse. So you can kind of watch the path on a lunar eclipse. But, like, viewing wise, it doesn't really look much different than the phases of the moon. Now, what do I need to tell Leo for the week ahead for November 25th through December 2nd? Eat lots of vegetables. And this is a good time of year to be eating root vegetables. Lots of beta carotene, vitamins A and D, and there's like some kind of hygiene habit that you've been getting away with, but it's not ideal for yourself. So it could be that you've been brushing your teeth too harshly. It could be over cleansing your face. It could be wearing an abnormal amount of makeup. There's just a lot of things that it could be, but there's going to be some kind of part of your toilette that might need to be revisited. And something about grocery shopping. So if you've been making a lot of grocery trips, or if you've been trying to space out your grocery trips, there might be something that you have to change about your diet even. And so like you have to go make a grocery trip that maybe you weren't anticipating or something like that. And it's health concerns, but not like I know myself specifically, I've been feeling really run down, and I've been feeling a lot of inflammation in my body. Just kind of out of the blue. It kind of just will do that sometimes. And so I know for myself that's something that I'm going to have to address this week. But it might be like that for some others of you, but be a different situation. Because I know for some of you this is going to be a hygiene situation, where you're like brushing your teeth too hard, or over whitening, or over cleansing your skin on your face, or something like that. What else do I need to tell Leo? Sun, moon, and rising. The eclipse strength. So some of you are going to really feel the eclipse. I know a lot of people were really tied up in the new moon in Scorpio energy, and I definitely felt that. Very like, I slept like the whole day before, and I've been having like issues with my energy levels and issues with inflammation a lot since then. And this might be the time in which you address any of the issues that came up for you at that time. Is that for Leo specifically, or is that for people who have a moon in Scorpio like I do? No, this is more to do with Leo, and the reason being that Leo energy, whether it's sun, moon, or rising, but especially solar Leo energies, are very much like the part of the year where the sun is very robust. And we're heading into the colder months and going through some of these darker energies that are going to be possibly affecting your energy levels from that perspective. And that, of course, is going to be depending on your other placements and what those are, and how you normally react to those things. But like seasonal depression, any of you who are affected by that, it's going to be coming up at this time. And even changes between the seasons. So like when it is summertime, you might have to wash your hair more often. But then in the winter time, it might be not a good idea to wash your hair as often. Like a shift like that. And there's going to be some kind of grocery shopping trip that goes along with this shift. What else? What else do I need to tell Leo, sun, moon, and rising about the week ahead? Things seem kind of obscure for Leo at the moment. Let's see. Yeah, there's this kind of obscurity that's going to be centered around this particular week. And it's kind of anything that started, any of the issues that started around the time of the new moon in Scorpio for you. This lunar eclipse, which is in Gemini, is going to kind of be like the culmination of all of that. And then I think as you head into December, a lot of that energy is going to dissipate and resolve. Is there anything that I should tell Leo about this week? Leo, sun, moon, and rising. It is possible for you to get ahead during this time. I know that was a concern of mine. Because I feel like when I don't have any energy, that it's very difficult for me to get projects done and get ahead at what I want to do. But it will be possible for you to get ahead during this time, and the key is going to be listen to your network and listen to your network and your body, but like listen to your stamina, and you'll be able to get little bits and things done along the way, and it'll make a big difference when you get on the other side. So I know that the temptation is to just kind of like curl up in a ball in bed and not do anything. But I think that during this time it will be possible for you to get quite a bit done. Just make sure that you are kind of chipping away at projects in an organized fashion, and that you have a game plan. And if you have a game plan in place already, then you're going to be able to actually get ahead during this time. But it's not going to feel like it. It's going to feel like hard work and like you're exhausted and you just don't want to do anything. Is there anything else that I need to tell Leo about this week? I feel like I've been saying this to everybody, but make sure you're drinking enough water, eat on a regular schedule as much as possible, and just take care of your body and rest lots, and just allow whatever needs to be processed to be processed, because I feel like that's a big part of what is going on right now. Is there's like a lot of processing going on, and that's why you're going to have to change you're going to have to make like some tweaks to your routines surrounding health and body, and then there's also going to be like a lot of fatigue and a lot of just feeling drained, and all of this is just about like you're kind of like preparing for the next thing and processing a lot. So it's not exactly like downloads, but you might notice that you start doing things slightly differently. Is there anything else? No, I can't really tell you more than that on a general basis, because everybody's going to be having a slightly different experience, but that's going to be kind of like the underlying effect. And it's going to be kind of similar to what Cancer is going through this week, actually. So, just be kind to yourself and have a good week. Hello, Virgo, and welcome to your week ahead forecast for November 20th. 25th through December the 2nd. Okay. There's not a lot to address in the ephemera, but there will be a lunar eclipse in Gemini, and that's the full moon, of course. That's going to be occurring overnight between Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th. So if you're on the west coast of the United States, it will be its most visible around 1:30 in the morning. One thing that I like about lunar phenomena is it's something that I can say even from my apartment here, where there's a lot of light pollution. I feel like I was going to say something else about this. Don't get carried away with something. There's some situation going on with you right now, Virgo, where you're getting very wrapped up in your head about it. And there's a lot of overthinking going on. I think they must be vacuuming upstairs, so I hope that's not too loud. I don't really hear it in the headphones, but I'll probably hear it when I'm editing. But hopefully it won't be too loud. And for some of you, this could be related to your health. For some of you, I get that for some of you it is a work situation, but I'm not getting that for very many of you. I think some of you it's a work situation. Some of you it's a health situation, but it's very much like a personal problem. Whether that is the way that you interact with other people and evaluating your relationships with your peer group, that's going to be a big one for some of you. I'm getting some kind of impression too that there's a dynamic to it that that you feel like you're very much on the outside and that everyone else is inside decorating the Christmas tree and eating tasty cookies and stuff like that, and you're perched on the windowsill and looking in, and there's kind of this dynamic to it, but that's an illusion, I think, more than anything else. Now obviously during this time there are going to be a lot of people who are getting together in groups that are not advisable. It's okay, especially if you're outside, to have small gatherings, but anybody that you see in your peer group who's doing this behavior, I wouldn't feel too excluded by it, and I don't think that that's necessarily how you're going to feel. I think it's going to really make you worried for those people more than anything else, that you're going to see these people that you care about getting together in unsafe conditions, and it's going to really just set off that Virgo neurosis. Is there a way for Virgo to avoid this? Yes. Get a backup. Get a backup. So if all of your friends end up having this gathering and it's kind of becoming too much of a thing, make sure that you have other options open to you so that it's not just you being like, oh geez, you know, this is too much, and feeling some kind of way about it. I feel like for whatever reason, if you have other options open to you, that it's not going to freak you out as much. I'm not quite sure why that is, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And there were some other people involved in this too, so it might have been that you were all making this plan together, and they kind of go off on this other tangent about like how they want to do things and handle having a get together, and you are watching this thing spiral out of control, and that's bothering you. So if it's that kind of a situation, you might want to just get off of social media for a few days and let those people decide what they want to decide. Just let go of it. Go off and make your own plans. And have it be a situation where it's very low stakes. It doesn't have to be, you know, I mean, I understand that that's why you feel like you're on the outside looking in and everybody else is having a great time. But that's not the reality of the situation. I keep wanting to say those people are a bunch of plague rats, but that's rude. And that's not the totality of the issue here, and I understand that. But maybe that's something that one or two of you needed to hear me say. That these people are, as much as they might feel like they're having a good time, they're putting a lot of people at risk. And not just the people who are in that immediate gathering, but anybody else that they interact with beyond that. You've gotten way more advanced with dealing with these situations too. Like, I feel like this isn't your first rodeo as far as these gatherings are concerned, and that maybe there was something earlier this year, or maybe this is something that you've had to deal with before with this group, to where you understand the limitations going into it, and you're not as like emotionally devastated by any of the side effects of the situation than you were maybe the previous times. Like, it could be a situation where you've already kind of sussed out the group dynamic in this particular group, and you understand like how each of the personalities comes into play, and it makes it easier for you to navigate this time around. Is there anything else that I need to tell Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this upcoming situation or about the week ahead? Yeah, group dynamics. I think one thing that is going to come out of this for you is getting much more of a grasp on group dynamics, so that even if you're not looking at a situation where you feel like people are being unsafe, it could just be a situation where you feel uncomfortable for other reasons. And that might be more to do with your own headspace than anything else. So there's a few different perspectives on this. Obviously, it's a general reading, so whatever applies to you. And it might have more to do with your other placements too. So make sure you watch your sun, moon, and rising sign, especially if you have any Gemini placements, because of that full moon eclipse in Gemini. Another thing we're dealing with is the Venus and Mercury are going to be in Scorpio for part of the week. So if you have Scorpio placements, look at that. And then, Sun in Sagittarius. So, but that energy isn't coming through as much as I feel like this Venus and Scorpio, or Venus and Mercury in Scorpio, and then Mercury is going to enter Sagittarius on Tuesday the 1st. Is there anything else that I need to address in this part of the reading? No, Virgo, that's it for you this week. I hope you take good care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Hello, Libra, and welcome to your weekly forecast. This is going to be for November 25th through December 2nd. And there's no specific ephemera for Libra during the course of this week, but there will be a lunar eclipse while the full moon is in Gemini, and that will occur overnight between Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th. Those of you who are in the United States, some of you might also be celebrating Thanksgiving on the 26th, but that's a personal preference. Sorry. What do I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead, the 25th through the 2nd? Do you have a dental appointment coming up? Some of you might be dealing with something regarding a dental appointment, like getting a teeth cleaning or a filling or something. I don't think it's a serious procedure for most of you, although there could be somebody out there who needs to get a tooth pulled or get a root canal done. What else do I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the 25th through the 2nd? You are getting your use out of something for sure. I don't know if this is in reference to a subscription service and you're like consuming a lot of media, or if this is like some kind of library, you're checking out a lot of books, or a subscription to an online database of some kind. But some of you out there are really getting your money's worth out of something. It could even just be like you bought a cheap pair of shoes and you're really making them last. Something like that. You're really squeezing the value out of something by taking care of it. So that's really good, Libra. That's good for you for What else do I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising about the week ahead? Maybe, I'm hearing you can't put that in an autoclave. And I don't know if it's in reference to something at your job or if it's just in reference to something you're trying to sterilize. And I just hear you being told you can't put that in the autoclave. It'll melt. And talking about different options to sterilize something. And all of this could definitely be related. Something to do with dental work, something to do with getting your value out of something, something to do with sterilizing something. All of these things could definitely be directly related somehow. You seem to be very concerned with your health at this time, but not because there's a problem, just taking an active interest in your physical health in some way. What else do I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising? I'm hearing get checked, so definitely do get checked for something. This could even be about getting tested for the virus, but it could also be about getting blood work done and getting checked, like get your vitamin and cholesterol and other levels checked. Or maybe you're somebody who has been getting a lot of COVID tests done at regular intervals to make sure that you are not infectious. It could also be that if you are going to the dentist, that they're going to require you to get a test done before you go to the dentist. Something about spirochete load too. And spirochetes could be anything from syphilis to rickettsia. So, Lyme disease can also be caused by spirochetes. So if you're having any kind of symptoms that could be related to an infection like that, definitely get tested for those things if you find a tick on yourself. There are even, aside from Lyme disease, there's even a bacterial infection that you can get that causes you to become allergic to mammalian proteins in meat. So just be on the lookout for that. What else do I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead, the 25th through the 2nd? You could have even been called out for something regarding your health that you weren't taking it seriously until somebody around you said something about it, whether it was God, you don't ever have any energy. What's up with you these days? Or, you look X or you look Y. Something that somebody might have said to you who's close enough to you to get an accurate picture of what your normal self is like. What else do I need to tell Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising? All of this has been really health related. You may find yourself, though, on the receiving end of some kind of... I'm hearing punch buggy, no punch back. Some people call it slug bug or punch buggy. It's this very stupid game that children play where they hit each other when they see a certain type of car. And there could be something like that for you this week, where you find yourself on the receiving end of, another example would be like, I don't know if people even do this anymore, but it used to be a bro thing, apparently, where people would carry around warm Smirnoff ice, and they would say they were going to ice their bros, and they would hand you an open Smirnoff ice, and you were obligated by the bro code to chug this Smirnoff ice, no matter what you were doing, whether you were at work, or at the library, or at somebody's wedding, or, in the middle of class, whatever. Something like that. It's a very stupid game, whatever this is, and it's going to be up to you to decide whether or not you want to take part in it. But I can tell you from where I am sitting, place of judgment, it looks really stupid and unnecessary. But that's up to you. That's your friend group. If you're having a good time, if it's fun and you're having a good time, then feel free to take part. But if you're not having a good time, don't bother. Is there anything else that I need to talk to Libra about this week? No, there's just a few things going on for you this week. Some very interesting goings on. I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care of yourself. Hello, Scorpio. Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's talk about your week ahead, November 25th to December 2nd. So Venus and Mercury are both in Scorpio at this time. And on Tuesday, the first, Mercury is going to move into Sagittarius. Neptune goes direct on the 28th, and there will be a lunar eclipse overnight between Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th. And that will be in the sign of Gemini. It's a full moon. It's a penumbral eclipse. It will be visible in North America and in the Pacific. And if you are on the west coast of the United States, the peak of the eclipse should be about 1:30 a.m. Let's look at your specific ephemera a little more closely. On Wednesday, the 25th, Venus in Scorpio is going to be quincunx to Chiron in Aries. Now, Chiron in Aries is an energy of healing things about yourself that are impatient, healing things about yourself where you start projects and are not able to carry them through. That's going to be around 8:47 or 11:47 in the morning of Wednesday the 25th. And as it relates to Venus in Scorpio, quincunx is a placement, a transit of action, often swift action. Venus in Scorpio can be about romance as it relates to sex. It can also be about other people's resources, like resources of a partner. Romantically, it can also be about cycles ending in relationships and new cycles beginning. So that could be a situation, it's kind of in the middle of the morning, where you work something out regarding impatience. That is a cycle in a relationship. Thursday the 26th, then we have a quincunx early in the morning, so 2:45 or 5:45 if you're on one of the coasts. And that's a quincunx with the moon in Aries. Now, the moon in Aries is emotional or hidden things regarding beginnings, regarding impatience. Could be about some of the same things that we saw with the Chiron in Aries placement. Mercury in your sign of Scorpio is going to be about communication regarding death, sex, and other people's resources. Could also be learning about these things. It could also be new ideas about those things as well. And because it's a quincunx, there could be some action that's being taken at that time. Because of the hour of the morning, you might not even be awake when it occurs. Friday the 27th, we have a few placements. Venus in Scorpio is going to be in opposition to both the moon in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus. And that's going to be happening kind of in the middle of the morning or early afternoon, depending on if you are on either of the United States coasts. So, Venus in Scorpio, again, could be a sexual energy having to do with romance. But it can also be about cycles in relationships. And the moon and Uranus then being kind of conjunct to each other around this time. It's about feelings that people have regarding shared property, or property that a lot of different people have a say in what happens to it. The moon can also be hidden things, hidden agendas. And so this could be a cycle around this property that has to do with a romantic partnership or relationship that you're in. I was telling Taurus, I think I mentioned this in the Taurus part of the video. It seems like polycule energy. So if any of you are poly, something to consider in the morning hours and early afternoon of Friday the 27th. Mercury in Scorpio is also going to be sextile to Pluto in Capricorn, and that's going to occur very early in the morning. So 2:38 or 5:38, depending on, again, which coast. Mercury in Scorpio being communication about death, sex, or other people's resources, and Pluto in Capricorn. Now, this is a very interesting sextile energy because this Pluto in Capricorn energy, Capricorn can be your career, but it can also be about how you utilize your surroundings, your environment, for your to forward your own agendas. And Pluto being a planet representing not just death, but liminal states, transitions between being and not being, and vice versa. So you have kind of the inkling of a new possibility coming up when you have Pluto in Capricorn. And when you have that sextile to Mercury in Scorpio, it could be new ideas regarding other people's property. That maybe there's something there that you could be able to utilize for your own betterment. And then down here on the 28th, we have Jupiter then moving through that same sextile placement that we had Pluto in on the 27th. This is going to occur around 6:50 or 9:50 p.m. Now, Jupiter, as opposed to Pluto, is more about wealth, expansion. So you take this nebulous idea and you start expanding it, and you start seeing the potential to bring wealth into that situation. And then finally you're going to get a resolution to that on Monday the 30th, where you have then the concretion of Saturn in Capricorn making that sextile to Mercury in Scorpio. So altogether what you could be looking at is a new way to look at utilizing other people's resources. It could be communication about an estate, or someone passing, or it could be communication regarding a sexual relationship. All of these things could be at play. Now, on Sunday the 29th, you're going to have an opposition between Mercury in Scorpio and the moon in Taurus. So, just as we were talking about on the 27th, where Venus in Scorpio was making placements with the moon in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus, you could be seeing some of those similar energies here. It could be a very similar situation, or it could be a resolution to that situation from Friday. And that's going to be occurring around 12:30 in the morning or 3:33 in the morning if you're on the East Coast. And let's see what else is going on. All right, so then Tuesday the 1st, Mercury enters Sagittarius. Okay, also on Monday the 30th, you have Venus in Scorpio, quincunx the moon in Gemini. Now, moon in Gemini, remember, is going to be coming out of that lunar eclipse period, and actually this is going to be occurring around 6:38 or 9:38 in the morning, so that'll be like pretty well after that eclipse has occurred. But that moon in Gemini is going to be about duality, emotional communication, hidden dualities, and because it's a quincunx, which could be about some kind of action being taken, that Venus in Scorpio can be about a sexual relationship, or again, it can be about a cycle ending and a new cycle beginning in a romantic situation. All right, and then finally we're looking at, on Wednesday the 2nd, the moon is going to be in Cancer, and it's going to be trine Venus in Scorpio, and that's going to occur in the overnight hours of Wednesday the 2nd to Thursday the 3rd, so either 11:43 or 2:43, depending on where you are. Again, Venus in Scorpio can be a sexual energy, can just be a cyclical relationship energy, or a cyclical romantic energy more specifically. And trine to the moon in Cancer. Moon is native to Cancer, and Cancer has to do with the home life and also has to do with your emotional states. So, very good, conducive energy to working things out in relationships. Scorpio, 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 Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's find out what you should know for the week ahead. I'm hearing give me 5 minutes, which I don't feel like I need 5 minutes, but it could be that you find yourself in a situation where you literally just need 5 minutes to write one thing down, or go to the bathroom, or let me collect my thoughts. Give me 5 minutes to wrap this up. I'll be right with you. And you kind of get the one thing wrapped up, and then you're able to jump right into that situation. And it could be, oh, can't I just have 5 minutes to myself? If you'll give me 5 minutes of your time, I can explain myself. I don't feel like that's it, though. It's not quite it. It's more like, if you will give me 5 minutes, I'd be more than happy to deal with that for you. But I need to either wrap up this other thing first, go to the bathroom, grab a snack, whatever it is. Is that okay with that person? I mean, they understand it, but they're not happy about it. Is this like a work situation? Some of you, it's going to be a work situation, but some others of you, this is related to a parasocial behavior in which somebody that you deal with regularly has become cyclically attached to this idea that you're always putting them off, whether or not that's accurate. And so if you say something like that, it could be perfectly reasonable, but it becomes one more notch in their accounting book of you putting them aside in favor of your own needs. And they understand it's not fair, and you obviously understand it's not fair, and yet here we are. And so there's going to be, there's not going to be a discussion about that. Maybe you're both Scorpios, but it's good for you to know that that's there, because this person is not going to talk to you about this. They're not going to say anything about it. They're just going to let it pass because they know they're wrong on one level, but on the other level, they're still going to count it against you. So if you have the opportunity and you wish to address it, it might benefit you to do so. It might benefit you to say, hey, look, I know that there's this preconceived notion that I put you aside and that I don't address your needs. But in this particular instance, that's not what I'm doing. I just need a moment for myself to get this together before I take care of what's going on with you. And honestly, you should prefer that because it means that I'm able to dedicate 100% to whatever your situation is, and I'm not going to have to then go away and take care of my own thing. You know, you should want me to be able to take care of my own business first, so that I'm able to give this to you fully. If you were able to have a conversation with this person about this thing, then it would probably benefit both of you a great deal. But again, how often do you really get that opportunity as a Scorpio who may or may not want to address things with people? Not every Scorpio is like that. I think a lot of Scorpios actually go out of their way to address things with people, but I think it's like Scorpio sun signs often tend to be like closed off that way. And Scorpio rising, you're much more likely to be directly accountable to others. Take direct accounting with others, rather, is what I should have said. Not like being accountable to others, because it's not always about like what you owe to someone else. Sometimes it's about the accounting between you and another person, so that you're both on the same page about it. We have, what is this? I mean, what constitutes a weird situation? Somebody's brother might be involved. There's a weird family situation. And it might be that someone's brother is involved. And it's going to be different for all of you, because what constitutes a weird situation is varied from family to family. But in most of these situations, this brother is being demonized unnecessarily, maybe, or is possibly being scapegoated. Could be a scapegoat situation. Something like that. It's going to be up to you as to whether you want to step in and do something about that or not. Because if you step in, you're going to be in the middle of it. And if you have extricated yourself from this situation overall, you may choose to not reintroduce yourself into that ecosystem. But it might affect this sibling, and I'm getting that it's a brother. I'm not getting that it's a sister. And I mean those of you who have non-binary family members, I'm sure they could be non-binary to masculine leaning. What else are we looking at here? Seventh grade. There's some aspect of this that when they were in the 7th grade, something happened. And it wasn't that this whole situation is based on that, but there are aspects of what happened between them and your parents in 7th grade that are being dredged up now because of this. Possibly. It was like a grade they got on a paper or something. And for some reason, the parents just never, or like they thought they'd let go of it. And then when these new things started happening, now it's kind of like, well, what do you even know? You got an F on this paper in 7th grade. It's weird. Like I said, it's a weird situation, and what that means to each family is going to be different. What else do I need to tell Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising about this week ahead, the 25th through the 2nd? Is there anything else I need to mention? You could have a financial gain coming in very soon. Something that you were not counting on, but ends up being a boon for you. Is there anything else? Just be careful. Watch your step. Take care of yourself. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Sagittarius. I know that some of you will be having a birthday this week. So happy birthday to those of you who are celebrating birthday. Sun is in Sagittarius, and Mercury will also be entering your sign, and that will be happening on Tuesday the 1st. And what you can expect from a Mercury in Sagittarius is, because Mercury governs thought, communication, ideas. Obviously, the god of exchange of ideas, Hermes Trismegistus, Thoth or Jehuti and the Emerald Tablets, all that kind of thing is tied up in mercurial energy. And we have it entering Sagittarius, your sign, which has a lot to do with the things that we do to elevate ourselves and our energy. So it can be spirituality outside of organized religion, can be higher education, can even be travel. Those are 3 big things that always come up. And then there are going to be some placements between the sun in Sagittarius and other planets. We also have a lunar eclipse, which is going to be the full moon in Gemini, and that's going to be between Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th. And if you're on the West Coast, that's going to happen around 1:30 a.m. So on Thursday the 26th, some of you might be celebrating Thanksgiving. Sun in Sagittarius is going to trine Chiron in Aries. And then I'm looking to see if then it makes a transit with Mars in Aries as well. But I don't see anything like that happening. But basically, Chiron in Aries is the healer, taking care of things that have to do with impatience and also that have to do with starting projects and not finishing them. And then I've also been getting an idea that there might be something tied up in there about a lack of commitment. And Sun in Sagittarius being all of the things that you do to elevate yourself, then you're looking at your own spiritual paths, you're looking at higher education. And so this might have something to do with a desire to go back to school, even if you started a degree and then never finished your coursework. That could be something that crosses your mind. It's going to be the 26th. It's going to be either 1:50 or 4:50 in the afternoon, depending on what coast you're on. On the 27th, which is Friday, we have the moon in Taurus, quincunx, sun in Sagittarius. Now, that's going to be like 7:30 or 10:30 in the morning. Moon in Taurus can be emotional attachment to possessions or hidden possessions. And then, of course, all these things you do to elevate yourself, sun in Sagittarius. It could be, because it's a quincunx, which is action, it could even be some kind of clearing out of old possessions that you do and maybe donating them to charity, or breaking your emotional ties to your material possessions. On Sunday the 29th, then we have Sun in Sagittarius, quincunx, Uranus in Taurus, and that's going to be right after midnight or around 3:20 in the morning. And again, this Uranus in Taurus this time is going to be about possible property that has a group of people who are making decisions about it. And so it could be wrapping up some of the energies from Friday that you had with that moon in Taurus. It could be then hashing all that out with a group. It could be a religious group. Could also be, about a conference room that you have to rent out for a project for college or any of those types of things. On Monday the 30th, so right around the time that this lunar eclipse is occurring with the full moon in Gemini, you're going to get an opposition with the sun in Sagittarius, which is very interesting, right? So that'll either be at 1:30 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, depending on which coast you're on. And so this sun in Sagittarius, again, about the things you do to elevate yourself. Moon in Gemini being about emotional communication, can also be about emotional duality. And it can be about hidden communications as well. A very complex kind of energy that we're looking at then also with this lunar eclipse. Because the lunar eclipse is much more about hidden things. So we'll be emphasizing that aspect of the moon's energy, the hidden and dark aspects. All right. Tuesday the 1st, we do have Mercury entering Sagittarius and then forming a quincunx with the moon in Cancer. Now, Mercury, again, these ideas of communication, new ideas, education, also emphasizing that part of Sagittarius of higher education. And then the moon in Cancer being about emotional states, emotional intelligence, and the home. So this could be a move to action. It could be talking to your parents about going back to school. It could be something related to that. It doesn't necessarily have to be that exactly. It's going to happen around 8:40 or 11:40 in the evening. And then finally, Wednesday the 2nd, you're going to have the quincunx between the moon in Cancer and sun in Sagittarius, and that's going to be around 5:30 or 8:30 depending on what coast you're on. And that could be just a resolution of that quincunx from the night before with Mercury in Sagittarius. So all of that then getting worked out. All right, Sagittarius. What do we need to talk about for this week? What is going to come up for you for the week of November 25th through December 2nd? Some of you are going to have birthdays. Hearing some of you are going to be eating Wheaties. And Wheaties, of course, have that reputation of being a super healthy breakfast cereal that has light frosting on it. But it's also like it used to be an idiom when Wheaties were much more popular. People would be like, you better eat your Wheaties, like you better exercise, you better make sure that you're in top physical condition because you're going to have to move, or you're going to have to pick something up that's heavy, or you're going to have to run a long way or something like that. Yeah, so I'm getting some kind of like, it's like taking care of your health, kind of, but not exactly, because there's this implication with you better eat your Wheaties that like it's a physical, the feats of strength, since Festivus is right around the corner. It's like preparing for the feats of strength. So you better eat your Wheaties because you're going to need to do something intensely physical, more than like you need to drink more water, you need to get enough sleep. While that is part of it, that is part of taking care of yourself. This is less about the self-care aspects of your health and more about the training. And what is to be said about that? Because you're going to be busy going into the holiday season. I mean, but a lot of people are going to be busy. What makes it different for Sagittarius? It's possible some of you have been a little bit under the weather recently, or not been able to take care of yourselves. And this is a warning against that, against falling into those habits. But there's something else to it as well. That like you have the potential also, if you are in good physical condition during this time, to really get a lot done. So that might be an aspect of it as well. What else are we looking at here? Sagittarius. Yeah. Starting to wear sweatshirts, long sleeves, hoods. Some of you are focusing a lot on what you are going to wear, which is fine. That's normal. But for some of you, you're getting really into like the winter wear. Like I feel like some of you might not necessarily be as into dressing during the summer months as you are into dressing during the winter months. Like I've been getting this vibe from Sagittarius readings that there's some of you, or maybe just a few of you, that that really enjoy dressing for the cold weather. So that'll be your time of year is coming up, and that'll be sweatshirts, boots, heavy socks, long pants, or robes. That kind of energy coming through for you. What else do I need to tell Sagittarius for this week? You're getting over that hump. So I know, like, for the Leo reading, there was like a little bit about how the new moon in Scorpio kind of kicked off this like processing, and then this lunar eclipse in Gemini will kind of like be wrapping all of that up. And I feel like there's something similar going on for Sagittarius, but it's not quite the same for obvious reasons. So if some of you have Scorpio placements or Gemini placements, look at where those are too. If any of you have a moon in Scorpio or a moon in Gemini. But I'm getting kind of like this wrapping up of that particular energy cycle. And it could have even started before that. Hold on. Yeah, because the sun entered Sagittarius on the 21st. So that would have been like pretty much right in the middle of this moon cycle. The new moon was on the 14th and 15th. And Mars went direct right before that. So that's like a lot of very intense energies kind of. I feel like that affected Sagittarius and Leo a lot. Is there any particular reason why it would have affected these two signs more? Because of other placements. So partially because of the fire energy, although it didn't seem to really hit Aries the same way. I'm not saying it didn't hit Aries at all. I'm just really getting like this particular kind of energy for Leo and Sagittarius. And it might have to do with what's going on in the rest of your chart more than anything else. Is there anything else that I need to tell Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this week ahead? Yeah, get your tennis shoes laced up tight. That's another idiom. I just feel like you're gonna have the opportunity to really hustle this week. So eat your Wheaties and lace your tennis shoes up and all the energies that go along with that. And take care of yourselves. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Hello, Capricorn. This is going to be your week ahead for Wednesday the 25th through December Wednesday the 2nd. And the main thing that we're going to be talking about for Capricorn is going to be a continuation of Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn all in your sign, cycling through these different planetary or these different moon transits. So basically Pluto is this very nebulous energy of endings, can also be about new beginnings. It's kind of also about things that simultaneously can exist and also don't exist. So very nebulous energy, but not quite in the same way that Neptune is nebulous. Next we have Jupiter, wealth and expansion, and then Saturn, which is your establishment and concretion. And all of these things are in your sign, which means it could have to do with career. It could also have to do with how you utilize your surroundings and environment to your own benefit, right? So the first series of transits we're going to talk about is with the moon in Aries, and that's going to be on Thanksgiving Day, Thursday the 26th. So moon in Aries energy can be emotional or hidden things related to beginnings, relating to the early years of your life, not quite children, but like kind of birth, like the birth of children, because usually children is more like fifth house or Leo energy. So all of those things. And so it could be like the start of a new business idea, but something that is still in a very emotional place. So you're going to be working through the emotional parts of that, or the hidden parts of that beginning. There's also going to be, on Friday the 27th, Mercury in Scorpio is going to be sextile Pluto in Capricorn, and that's going to be occurring early in the morning, like 2:38 or 5:38, depending which coast you're on. Mercury in Scorpio is communication or ideas or even short distance travel as it relates to death, sex, and other people's resources. So you could be looking at, especially with this sextile with Pluto in Capricorn, it could be finding ways to build up capital by communicating with other people about this new venture. And so the sextiles then with Mercury and Scorpio, the Pluto sextile is going to be on Friday the 27th. There's going to be a Jupiter sextile with Mercury and Scorpio on Saturday the 28th. And so that'll be the wealth and expansion. And then finally, on Monday the 30th, you're going to have the Saturn sextile. So completing that cycle. And these are, for a lot of the year, it was Jupiter and then Pluto and then Saturn. But Pluto and Jupiter have kind of switched places now, so that Pluto's moving through first, and then Jupiter, and then Saturn. And then you're going to have trines on Saturday the 28th and Sunday the 29th between the moon in Taurus and Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn in your sign. Moon in Taurus is very possession related, and it could be about hidden possessions or uncharted possessions, even more so than your emotional relationship to the possessions. And then there's going to be on Tuesday the 1st. And again, this is going to be right after that lunar eclipse in Gemini. So keep that in the back of your head. That Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn are all going to be forming quincunx transits with the moon in Gemini. And quincunx is a very action-oriented transit energy. So that moon in Gemini can be about dualities that could be uncovered at this time. It can be about communication in emotional states or hidden communication even. And also having to do with new ideas and short distance travel. And that's all of the ephemera for you this week, Capricorn. What do I need to tell Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising about this week? The honey pot. So I know sometimes they call I don't know, it's to do with like somebody posting thirst traps online and you being very drawn into this, possibly. And it could be you're the one who's drawn into posting them, or it could be that you see somebody as being, I think sometimes they call it a honeypot, when somebody just posts a bunch of thirst traps online. Some of you are going to be happy about that, and some of you are going to be irritated by it. But what else do I really need to talk about in reference to this? It's like you wish they'd just put clothes on and stop talking to people online. For some of you, obviously this isn't going to be everyone. You feel like maybe they're making a mockery of themselves or the feelings that you have for this person, or that there's something really sentimental about this. So whereas you might not typically be super judgmental about people posting scantily clad photographs of themselves online. It's kind of like that energy of that G. Giles band song, Centerfold, where you're like emotionally attached, which is not common in Capricorns. But there's like some kind of emotional attachment to this idea that you have of this person. And for some reason, whatever it is they're posting online is not congruous with that, and it's making you irritated and maybe even angry. And it could go both ways. It could be not that you're the one who's emotionally attached, but that there's somebody else who has this idea about you and what you may or may not be posting online. And it might not even be that scandalous. It might just be posting opinions that you feel about yourself. But there's this energy that it's like how a honeypot is trying to get the attention of people online, trying to post these selfies for likes. That's kind of like how it's being perceived, is that somebody perceives that you are posting these things online because you are trying to get people's attention. Which that argument could be made for literally anything that you post online. So you should just do what you want to do and not live for other people. That's for sure. What else do I need to tell Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising about this upcoming week? Yeah, like you're cherry picking. I'm hearing something about cherry picking. So it could be like cherry picking examples or cherry picking ideas from other people. You can't just cherry pick like that. Like maybe you're talking about a relationship with somebody else where like you point out the behavior that you don't care for rather than looking at the relationship with that person as a whole. What else do I need to talk to Capricorn about for this week? You've given up on this idea of the fantasy. Yeah, so it could be that there's like, you maybe at some point had like a super idealized, or maybe somebody felt this way about you, that they had a super idealized version of you in their mind, and you've given up on that, but you are still holding on to this kind of like inaccurate. So one thing that you talk about a lot when you are, or that you deal with a lot in sympathetic magic, is trying as much as possible to have an image of your target that is as congruous to the actual person as possible. And that's what makes it very effective. But if you do not have a super accurate idea of this person, and again, this could be reversed, that this is somebody feeling this way about you, or projecting onto you even, that the more accurate your idea of another person is, the easier it will be to influence their life. And so I feel like this is getting closer to that, the ideal image rather than the idealized image. But there's somebody out there that this might not even be about a romantic situation either. It might be about some kind of potential that you see in another person, and you feel like they're selling themselves short, or somebody could be feeling that way about you. It could be about watered down concepts. Yeah, like somebody feels like what you're putting out there is like a watered down version of yourself, and that you should just go out and stop trying to make people happy. You should just put out there the truth as you know it to be. But that's kind of, what is the truth and what is fantasy and what do any of these things mean? It's all about your perspective. It doesn't have anything to do with the reality of the situation. There's like the reality, and then there's everyone's going to have a different perspective, and then everyone also is going to have a different opinion. And all of those things coming together are what create reality and what dictate the history that gets recorded, more so than anything else. People say history is written by the winners. Well, that's not even necessarily the case. History is recorded based on an amalgamation of all of the flawed perspectives of the people who were living at that time. And I think what is happening now in the world all around us proves that more than idioms like those who don't learn their history are doomed to repeat it. But that's not why we're talking about this right now. We're just talking about different people's perspectives and the difference between perspective and opinion, because a flawed perspective can lead to a flawed opinion, but you can also have a very accurate perspective of how things are and just have an opinion that's based on your own idealized or pessimistic or whatever view of how things should be. So, that's why you can't please everyone. You have to please yourself. Gotta live for the one person who is always going to be there. And of course, there's something to be said for, doing things for your partner, for your family, or for your children. But none of them are going to have to answer for the same things that you will. In the same way. And that's what's most important. Is there anything else that I need to tell Capricorn at this time? I just hear, don't judge me. Don't judge me. It used to be, that was Brett Butler in Grace Under Fire. That was like her catchphrase. And it was like, yeah, I used to be a drug addict and a bad mom. Don't judge me because I'm taking a bunch of free snacks off of this sample tray or something like that. The implication on that show was that I've done so much worse. I can't believe that you would be taking me to task for this right now. But you know, and kind of like, this is my coping mechanism in this moment. That was like part of it too. Is there anything else that I need to bring up in reference to this? No, I think that's it. I don't know if you can tell, but because by the time I get to Capricorn, of course, I've already talked to several other of the signs already. This week has been a little difficult. It's been a lot of trying to figure out like the best way to say things to people about what may or may not be coming in the next week ahead. So I hope I haven't made anyone too upset so far. And I think you'll have a great week. I'm not worried about that. But take care of yourself, and I hope to see you again very soon. Hello, Aquarius, and welcome to your week ahead for November 25th through December 2nd. Now, excuse me, there's no specific ephemera for Aquarius this week, but there will be a lunar eclipse, the full moon in Gemini, and that will be between Sunday the 29th and Monday the 30th. And it will occur, if you're on the west coast, it will be around 1:30 in the morning that it reaches its most eclipsed point. It will be a penumbral eclipse, so not a total eclipse, and it will be visible in the northern western hemisphere, so mostly in the United States and Canada, and then in the Pacific Ocean. So, what kinds of things do I need to talk about with Aquarius for the week ahead? I feel like you've been shuffling your feet for a lot of this year. And you're finally going to start being able to walk normally again pretty soon. And there's somebody who's helping you out. Whether this is a romantic partner or just a very close friend or a close group of friends or a family member, I feel like there's somebody who in this time is really going to be bolstering you up and really trying to help you out and give you like a little extra boost of energy, a little extra boost of love and support during this time. And I don't know if it's related specifically to Thanksgiving occurring this week. Some people in the United States will be celebrating Thanksgiving, and one thing that I really like about this year is it is giving us a very valid opportunity to reevaluate our national history in a way that Thanksgiving in the past has kind of glossed over a lot of things. And now I think that we're we're going to have an opportunity this year in a way that we have before, but now more than ever, that we'll have this opportunity to understand a lot of different perspectives on this issue. But insofar as you are concerned, Aquarius, you're the baby. I hear you're the baby. So this could be a family member. It could also be a partner who is infantilizing you in a very endearing way at this time. Because again, I'm getting that this is a very good, uplifting energy. This is not somebody who is infantilizing you because you can't take care of yourself. It's somebody who's saying, no, you are baby. You need to be taken care of sometimes. And there could be special favors tied up in that between you and this other person. And it doesn't have to be sexual favors. It could just be well, I know that you can't handle this certain task right now, but if you would do the dishes for me today, I'll take care of your car registration. Something like that. I'll get all the paperwork together for you to file taxes, or something like that, where it's they kind of make sure that you're not just sliding off into oblivion, but it's also not exactly this is payment for this. It's kind of I'll make a deal with you. If you continue to breathe and put your best foot forward every day, then I will help you out in X, Y, or Z way. What else do I need to talk to Aquarius about for the week ahead? Yeah, because you might have done some very intensive self-care thing not last week, but the week before, possibly last week. I remember a little bit about that. So this could be kind of coming back from that and into this new energy and learning how to occupy this new space that you are getting accustomed to. This is your new house. This is your new place of business. This right here. And you're kind of getting used to that and kind of working yourself up to what this new way of being is going to look like. What else do I need to tell Aquarius about this week ahead? It's okay to let people take care of you sometimes. And I think that this person, whoever this is going to be good about boundaries, so that when the time comes, they're going to take the training wheels off. Whatever the situation might be. That it'll then, even out. Everything will balance out with this other person. Again, whether they are a romantic partner or parent or other family member or even just a very supportive friend. Is there anything else I need to tell Aquarius? Sun, moon, and rising in this time. Drink lots of water. And, alright, so the thing about water is that it's not isotonic. So what you actually want to do is make sure that you are taking in lots of water, but maybe not ice cold water. And you want that, you want the fluids that you're taking in to be closer to isotonic than not. So like tea or electrolytes or something like that. You know, make sure you're getting lots of fluids, but mix it up. Don't just drink water. Is there anything else that I need to talk to Aquarius about? I've been getting self-care for a lot of the signs, like Leo and Sagittarius specifically. But for you, I'm definitely getting more like rest and self-care. Like, really baby yourself this week if you have to. And just really make sure that you are allowing all of these changes to take place. And I think that's it. Thank you for joining me. Take good care of yourself, and I hope to see you again very soon. Hello, Pisces. Thank you for joining me. So, this week, November 25th until December 2nd, the main thing that will be happening for you specifically in the ephemera is that Neptune will be going direct in your sign, and that's going to be occurring on Saturday the 28th. Now, the next day, or rather the night of the 29th into the early morning hours of Monday the 30th, will be the lunar eclipse of the full moon in Gemini. That'll be a penumbral eclipse, and it will be visible over North America and the Pacific Ocean. And if you are on the west coast of the United States, it will be the most visible, or it will be at its peak around 1:30 in the morning. Excuse me. But it will be visible on both coasts, so you can check your local time for when it will be most visible where you live. Now, there's going to be a square between that moon in Gemini and Neptune in Pisces on Monday the 30th around 8:22 or 11:22 p.m. And that will be when the moon is void of course. So this will be a good energy for communication that doesn't need to be very structured. So like sitting around and just like socializing with others. I do know that there are a lot of curfews in place in public places right now. But this could be online. This could be, you know, if you live in a house with roommates. There's a lot of different perspectives that could be taken on that. So what do I need to tell Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising about the week ahead? You have been giving somebody too much of yourself. I don't think it's a romantic partner. I don't even necessarily think it's a boss or supervisor. But I do feel like there's a situation, and it could be a work-related situation, where somebody is taking advantage of you, and you might not even realize it. You might not even think about it as them taking advantage of you, because it's very harmless at this stage. But it could be the kind of thing that accelerates into something else. And it's important to kind of, this person's testing you. They are not, they're not like naively doing this. They're definitely doing it because they're trying to test you and see how far they can push you. And so, even though it hasn't leaned over into the territory of them full on taking advantage of you in a way that's not acceptable, that's where they're headed. And honestly, like, the sooner you put your foot down with this person, the better. Because it's not like, I mean, the thing is, it's very gray area right now, right? So they haven't really asked you to do anything that is outside of what you would be doing anyway. And I get that it's not so much about what they're asking, it's like the way that they're asking. So pay close attention to that. It could be that this person, the story, I try to study a lot of like neuro-linguistic programming techniques. Not to take advantage of people necessarily, but almost to manipulate myself into being a better person, if that makes sense. But one of the techniques is to it's almost like a bait and switch. So the example was that there was two guys and they were ordering ice cream at this diner. And this guy would order ice cream there all the time. And if he knew that if he wanted chocolate syrup, it was going to be 25 cents extra. And he told his friend about this. And the friend was like, no, I can get chocolate syrup for free, watch. And so what he does is he orders the ice cream, and then as the wait staff person is walking away, he yells after them, and can I get chocolate syrup on top? And they just said, yeah, sure, no problem. And then miraculously enough, because he had kind of caught them, it was all transmitted orally, it didn't get written down on the ticket, and it didn't end up on their bill. So it's something like that is happening right now, but it's going to progress. You know, this person's going to be upping the ante every time. What else can I get this person to do for me, and not have to increase my investment in this situation? And I don't know who this person is. For some of you, this could even be a family member. And I really hate to say that. But because it's a general reading, I think for all of you it's going to be different. For some of you, this could be with a romantic partner. For some of you, it could be a job situation. But that it's somebody who is just here overstaying their welcome a little bit too, to where maybe if you're like, oh, I have X, Y, or Z to do at a certain time, they will find ways to manipulate your schedule so that you end up having to postpone things. And they're not doing it because they don't want you to do those things. They're doing it because they're trying to manipulate you and trying to get you twisted around their finger so that they can get you to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and know that they'll be able to expect you to do that. So this could be a very tricky situation for some of you. excuse me, but I do feel like for a lot of you, there's this aspect of it that they would respect you more if you put your foot down and you were to say to them, hey, actually, I need to go right now. And you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I actually need to leave right this minute. And I'm getting that specifically as a situation that could be going on with somebody, but then also, you know, there's a wide variety, a wide spectrum of behaviors that could cover. And it could be something as simple as being like, well, actually, here's my invoice. As you can see, I itemized everything. If you have any questions about any of these items, you know, please feel free to contact me. But actually, this is the itemized invoice. And then you might think that if you send them something like that, that they're going to give you a hard time about it. But you might actually find that if you were to start doing that with this person, that they'd take you more seriously and stop giving you such a hard time. Is there anything else that I need to talk to Pisces about for this week? I really can't show you this on camera, but I found like a little red sparkle down in here. There's no way that's going to show up on camera, but it's really cool. And to me, that is talking about Pisces is a water sign, you know, and Neptune has been in your sign for all of this year and will be again all of next year. Spoiler alert. And it's about letting the inner fire that you possess shine through. Just because you're a water sign and a Pisces doesn't mean that you can't also possess inner fire. And that might be something that ends up coming through in this situation as well. And again, it might not even be that this person has horribly malevolent intentions towards you. There are all kinds of reasons why people feel the need to control each other. Not all of them are motivated from this purely evil place. Sometimes it's an employer feeling like if they don't have absolute control over employees, that they'll never be able to count on them for anything. That's not the case. A lot of times it's parents, and especially as your parents get older and they're worrying about what their twilight years are going to look like. They worry that if you have your own ideas about that their wishes won't be respected, and so they need to have this level of control over you. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why somebody would want to have control over another person that are not just purely motivated by evil, and that's kind of the sense that I'm getting with this situation, is that it's not that this person has ill intent towards you necessarily, but they really feel like in order to command your loyalty and to get you to do what they want you to do at any time, that they need to establish some kind of hierarchy with you, or that there's some kind of game that they have to play ahead of time, you know, some kind of trust game that they have to play with you ahead of time. And so I really wish you the best of luck navigating this situation. I don't think it'll end badly for you, and I hope that you are able to negotiate this space with this person, because I'm getting the sense for a lot of you that this person really has like a very dominant role in your life, whether it is as a close friend or a partner or as a family member. So take care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today for your November 25th through December 2nd weekly crystal scrying forecast. I feel like these were a little more difficult to get through in some ways than most weeks, just because I feel like a lot of the messages that I was trying to convey this week are maybe not our favorite things to hear. If there's anything that you just want to get rid of, again, before we go, please just cast it right into the flame. I think a lot of us have been undergoing a lot of processing, and it's important to be easy on yourself when you're going through that. You might be kind of frustrated with your body. I know I get very frustrated with my body when I'm undergoing a lot of processing. But it's important to your growth and important to becoming a better version of yourself that you want to be. So try not to be too hard on yourselves. And I'll make a promise to do the same. If you did enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, and leave me comments down below. I always love to hear from you guys. And I think that I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers, but I'm going to leave the link down in the description as well. I will be giving away 3 free readings, crystal scrying or tarot, your choice. And I put a Google form down in the description so that you won't have to put any of your personal information into the comments section. It'll all be going directly to me personally. I'm not going to spam you. I really don't have a lot to tell you through email that I wouldn't tell you through a video, so I don't intend to use it as like a mailing list. But I hope that you did get something out of this video. I hope you have a great week ahead. Take good care of yourselves. And I hope to see you again very, very soon.